Magandang araw sa ating lahat. So, welcome again to our subject conceptual framework and accounting standard. And for today, we are about to discuss the development of financial reporting framework and standard setting bodies. Okay, so we will know after this discussion what are the organizations who have created the accounting standards and why is it important for us to have accounting standards. Okay, so medyo magkakaroon tayo ng history telling dito sa discussion nito. Okay, so before we proceed with the history and reason why we have accounting standards, let's first try to understand the objective, okay, of financial reporting on which we use these accounting standards. So the primary objective of our financial reporting in accordance with the 2018 version of the conceptual framework is to actually provide financial information that will be useful, okay, to our present and potential investors, okay, the lenders, those other creditors, and also trade suppliers, no, in making decisions about the resources, no, that they are providing to the business itself. Okay, so technically we have various users, no, not only limited to the investors, lenders, and creditors, such as customers, no, mga owners, managers, and supervisors. But technically, based on the conceptual framework na i-discuss po natin sa susunod na video, these three users are considered as the primary users. So, doon na lang po natin i-discuss bakit po sila primary users as stated in the conceptual framework. Okay, but in overall, no, our financial reporting was being used in order for various users to make decision making. Okay, and since it's used for decision making, okay, hindi ba dapat lang na there should be a standardized way how to report, and also the basis should be substantiated by various accounting standards. Okay, so next would be knowing again and reviewing the branches of accounting. Okay, so magre-review lang ulit tayo ng branches of accounting. Okay, and first of which would be financial accounting. So as you all know, okay, starting your first year up to right now, no, intermediate accounting subjects. So you are discussing already financial accounting. And when we talk about financial accounting, it focuses more on the process of analyzing, okay, analyzing, recording, classifying, then summarizing the financial information, okay, to have an output which are called as financial statements, on which yung nabanggit natin kaninang mga users, no, will make use of them for decision making. So the primary output of financial accounting is our general purpose financial statements. Okay, and on the other hand, while management accounting naman is using the financial accounting's report, no, in order for them to generate some sort of strategy, even management decision making, or even information to manage the business. Okay, so technically the financial accounting is focusing more on what we so called external users, okay, while our management accounting is using the financial information to generate organizational strategies, which it caters more on the internal users. Okay. Another branch of accounting is cost accounting, which kayong lahat ngayon ay nagtitake ng subject na ito. Okay, at alam ko naman po na mas detailed pa yung definition na nandun, but when we talk about cost accounting, no, it's more on the cost accumulation, no, the process of controlling the cost, no, of a product or services. Okay, so we will not discuss that further because it will be discussed to you throughout the semester as well, no. Then we have auditing. Okay, you will experience this subjects now pagdating ninyo ng third year. But when we talk about auditing, this is actually the independent verification of the financial reports generated in financial accounting, because we want to improve, no, the reliability of the particular financial information on which the users, okay, will make use of them for decision making. Then we have also government accounting, which is focused more on where does the government funds goes and even its sources. Okay. Another would be tax accounting, which is focusing on the preparation of tax returns and some sort of tax considerations, no, in the businesses. And then lastly, we have the accounting education, which is a branch of accounting for overseeing that there is a continuation of the accounting profession in the rest of the world. Okay, so these are the branches of accounting, and we have just run them through so that to remind you that we have various branches of accounting. And technically, guys, accounting standards are more on applicable for financial accounting since the financial statements are being prepared in accordance with the accounting standards. Okay, so right now we will be starting the discussion how does this accounting standards were being developed. Okay, so let's proceed first, no, in understanding ano ba tong accounting standard na to na sinasabi natin. Technically, pag accounting standard, no, and from the word itself, standard, these are guidelines, no, the rules, the principles, the procedures, okay, which represents, no, the accounting concepts and define the practice of financial reporting at a particular time. So this is actually the basis, no? The rules on which how are we going to report the financial statement properly, no? It is, 'di ba, parang ano lang 'yan pag sinabi nating standard, basehan. Okay? The basis. Okay? Hindi naman po pwede na okay, we are just going to report out of nowhere. Okay, we should have a strong basis for accounting, and that would be our accounting standard. And the main purpose why we have accounting standard is to ensure that what we are reporting, and kanina sinabi natin na financial reporting, okay, is relevant financial information that will be used by the various users, okay, in decision making. 'Di ba ang saya-saya nung magde-decide ka na may basihan, at yung basihan ng decision mo is actually based on some sort of principles, okay, na masasabi mo na tama or even sumusunod in the standard all over the world. Okay? So that's what accounting standard is. And let's try to know bakit ba kailangan ng international accounting standards. Okay? So pag sinabi kasi nating accounting standards, dati no, pwede nating sabihin na ito ay pang-entity lang or pang-company lang. But why is it there's a need for us to really have international accounting standards? You might have heard already IAS, IFRS. No, bakit po tayo meron mga ganon? Okay, let's try to understand that accounting reports, okay, would have a lack of comparability if we do not use, okay, standards. Standards pa lang, di ba? Not necessarily accounting standards. Pero pag sinabi nating standard, it is the basis. At pag hindi natin sinunod yung standard, of course, you cannot compare one apple to another orange. Okay, so in this particular international accounting standard, it helps businesses to reports, okay, that will help the users to compare one business to another business, or even when we talk about comparability, no, this will be discussed further as well sa fundamental qualitative characteristics sa next video natin. But we have also comparability from one period to another period, and we could not decide, or we could not really compare if we do not have a basis, okay, or consistent basis. Another would be accounting reports will also significantly lose its credibility, okay, when we have different profit numbers in different country at a given transactions. So we have so many countries here in the world on which when we try to compare nga ho, no, from one entity to another entity, from one country's business to another business, no, it does not gives us a particular right comparison and credibility, okay, on which we may decide from a lack of credible information. Okay, so that's why there is an accounting standard that will help us to what? Be consistent. So for us to compare and not lose credibility for reporting, no, sabi nga dito, no, to report different profit numbers in different country for a given transaction. So ayaw natin na same transaction and then one country ganito yung mangyayari sa kanya and then another country would do it other way as well. No, ang hirap din i-compare, ang hirap po sabihin na we are standardized as a whole. So to bring consistency in the accounting world, then inintroduce po sa atin yung mga accounting standards. Okay? So ayan, dapat kagaya mo rin yan, no? Consistent, hindi kagaya ng crush mo. De joke lang. Okay? So that's the reason why we have international accounting standard. And most of the countries actually are already using, no, international accounting standards. They are adopting it, no? Except for those countries on which they have their own, let's say, GAAP, okay, generally accepted accounting principles, but somehow it is already inclined with the international accounting standards. Meron lang talagang some certain portions na iba sila kung mag-report. Okay, so just such as sometimes in the US GAAP, okay, narinig nyo naman na siguro yun in basic accounting ninyo, yung mga GAAPs, di ba? You have US GAAP, you have Canadian GAAP, you have Australian GAAP, but most of them, no, as I have read already, no, halos inlined na rin sa IAS or International Accounting Standard, but some, no, may deviate. And the reason is because it could be only a transaction in their particular country. Okay? So next, no, let's start already, no, knowing how these accounting standards were being developed. So most industrialized countries have organizations that are responsible for making accounting standards. So internationally, no, because of the urge of various organizations such as the World Bank, okay, International Monetary Fund, the International Organization of Securities Commission or IOSCO, no, then also the Organization of Economic Cooperation Development, no, they urge a governing body, no, to create, no, a standardized reporting policy, and that's why, no, in 1937, okay, the IASC or the International Accounting Standards Committee, okay, was being formed, okay, to develop the global accounting standards. So it started all when these four forces, okay, to have a consistent, no, way how to report, and that will be on the year 1937 when they have started to have this International Accounting Standards Committee or IASC. And this IASC actually issued around 41 international accounting standards or IAS. So currently, guys, for your intermediate accounting, you will encounter IAS number 7 for the cash and cash equivalents. Also, you have IAS number 2 in the discussion of inventories, IAS number 41 agriculture, and IAS number 16 property, plant, and equipment. And they are part, no, of the initially 41 international accounting standards formed by the International Accounting Standards Committee. Okay? So after, no, in 1973's creation of IESC, okay, in 2001, the IASC was already been replaced and renamed as International Accounting Standards Board. Okay, so in 2001, no, the objective up to now of the IASB or International Accounting Standards Board is to develop a single set, no, or standard, high quality, understandable, and enforceable global accounting standards, no, which will help the world's capital markets and other users in making decisions. So again, now continuing the goal of the IASC, okay, the IASB was being created to continue the legacy of creating accounting standard that would help, no, all of the countries around the world to prepare the financial statement in a consistent manner. And it has revised, no, yung mga IAS. So technically na-adapt, no, or na-push forward yung mga IAS, okay, na ginawa ng IASC. Pero once na nag-create na itong IASB, no, they are already known as IFRS. Kaya sa panahon ngayon, mapapansin ninyo that we have two different name accounting standard, IAS at saka IFRS, because yung IAS na mga standards, even though they are being continuously revised, they are already referring to those standards created by the committee in 1973 up to 2000, no? While the IFRS was being made from 2001 moving forward up to now, no, by the IASB. However, no, this IASB have no authority, okay, to report or to require compliance with its accounting standard. So wala po siyang authority talaga. It's just creating the accounting standard, but it could not enforce any country or any governing body or any business to use the accounting standards. However, no, through the help of those organizations kanina na nabanggit natin, IOSCO, 'di ba, the World Bank, okay, the International Economic Development, they actually force, okay, or sila yung parang nag-force na gumamit yung mga different entities nitong mga standards na to. Bakit? Halimbawa, sa World Bank, if a particular company does not comply with a standard financial statement or hindi po ginamit yung accounting standard na prepare ng mga international governing bodies, then okay, they will not grant the loan. Or even, di ba, sa ating Securities and Exchange Commissions, most of the financial reports should be in accordance with the accounting standards. Okay, so they are pushing, no, the preparation through the use of the financial reporting standards, but not necessarily na si IASB yung gumagawa no. It's the governing bodies in line with the World Bank or even the International Organization of Securities Commission, okay, to enforce the use of financial accounting standards. Okay, so the IASB has the structure, okay, on which we have yung tinatawag natin IASC Foundation. So mamaya we will be mentioning as well IASC Foundation in detail, no, pero pinalitan na po yung name niya. Okay, so mamaya natin babanggitin, which is an independent organization, no? Okay, having two bodies. So yung mga trustees na tinatawag natin, because it's a foundation, and also the International Accounting Standard. Okay? Also, katuwang nitong trustees and IASB, yung Standards Advisory Council, mamaya mababanggit ko rin ho yan in detail, no? And also the IFRIC, or the International Financial Reporting Interpretations Committee. So we are not only having International Accounting Standards Board, no, who will give us the single set of high quality accounting standard, but it has also other sub organizations, no, under the IESC Foundation to help, no, in generating a good and high quality, understandable and enforceable global accounting standards. So in IASB, okay, the members were being appointed by the trustees. Di ba kanina nabanggit ko in the foundation, we have the trustees. And the trustees appoints the member of the board. And once appointed in the IASB, now they will have 5 years term. Okay? Which is renewable once. So anong ibig sabihin nun? At maximum, one member would have ilang years? Of course, 10 years. Okay? Kasi 5 years siya that could be renewed once. So that would be a total of 10 years, no? Then, the IASB is comprised as well of 14 members. And these 14 members may be consists of up to 3 members which are considered as part-timer. Okay? So pag part-timer, okay, it refers to those members that are committed, okay, of their time in employing to the IFRS, but technically, they are only working for it at part-time. Okay? Pag sinabi mo namang full-time, no, all of their time will be devoted in preparing the accounting standard and even helping the IASB and the foundation, okay, to generate accounting standard. Okay? So may mga part-timers din pala. So we have up to 3 part-timers. Okay? And this members, 14 members of the board will meet, no, in order for them to create guidelines and independence that will be helping in creating the accounting standard. So the purpose of this IASB board, okay, they should complete the responsibility of all board technical matters. So they will be the one to prepare and issue the international financial reporting standards, okay, other than IFRC or IFRIC or interpretations, no, kasi it's the work of the interpretation committee. So yung pagbuo ng standard at pag-issue no nasa IASP. Okay? And also exposure draft. Mamaya mababanggit natin 'yan as part of the process of creating the standard. No, they one step there or stage would be preparation of exposure drafts, which is actually somehow used for getting opinions from the public. And also, as part of this board, no, they shall approve and issue the IFRIC interpretations, no, developed by the interpretations committee. So there is a separate body for interpretation, but the board or IESB is the one who approves and issues the IFRIC interpretations. Okay? Aside from that, okay, they are the one, nabanggit ko na rin ho kanina, to publish an exposure draft of all of the projects which are used for commentaries. Pag sinabing mong exposure draft or even draft lang, di ba? So it means na hindi pa yun yung final. Bakit hindi siya final? Because it is for the purpose of commenting. Okay? Kasi they are also generating as part of their process na dapat makomentan yan ng various stakeholders natin so that it could be improved before po ma-release sa public. Okay, as final. Okay. Aside from that, there would be in exceptional circumstances, no, and formally requesting for prior approval from 75% of the trustees, reduce but not dispense the period of public comment of exposure draft that is described as minimum in the IFRS Foundation's due process handbook. So, ganun pa rin po, no, it's part of the process na ma-public comment siya, and later mababanggit ko rin po yung IFRS Foundation's due process handbook. By the way, pag dinownload nyo yun sa internet, that handbook is around mga 80 pages po, no? And we really not need to discuss it here in this class, no? We just get the gist of that handbook. Okay? So mamaya po babanggitin natin yon. Also, the board have the full discretion in developing and pursuing its technical agenda subject to the following. Okay, so pag sinabi nating technical agenda, it's more on the conceptualization of the accounting standard, no, the project, no, behind it. And sabi, it will be subjected to the consultation with the trustees and the advisory council, and it should be carried out every 5 years from the date of most recent public agenda consultation. So that particular technical agenda is having also a deadline, no, na every 5 years from the date yung kanyang public consultation. Then also the board have the discretion over the project assignments on technical matters. Okay, so they are the one who needs to make research kasi nire-research din po yan bago magkaroon ng exposure draft, no? Lahat ng mga possibilities, ano ba yung mga nangyari sa iba't ibang industries, okay, so that yung isang standard, it would generate a concept, a general concept, but applicable for various types of industries or businesses. Okay, to also establish review comments. Okay, di ba sabi natin kanina na it is for public viewing, no? Public commenting or dissenting opinions or creating some opinions, no, from the public, and they are reviewing it as well. Okay, also creating a working group, okay, or other types of specialist advisory group, no, that would advise on the major project, okay, because they need advisors as well. Then to consult the advisory council on major projects, to publish the basis of conclusion with the standards or an exposure draft, consider the public holding hearing to discuss the proposed standards. Almost paulit-ulit pero no, halos magkakaiba rin sila ng terminology na ginagamit, no. Consider undertaking field tests. Okay, and give reasons if it does not follow any of the non-mandatory procedures set out in letter B, G, I, J, and K. Actually, this particular function of the board is coming from the handbook. Okay? So, ayan po, yung mga ginagawa ng IASB. Okay, and technically kanina 'di ba nabanggit ko that the IASB is consists of 14 members. Okay? And in line with that, under the um IFRS Foundation or IESC's Foundation, 'di ba, which has actually 19 trustees. Okay, mamaya mababanggit ko rin 'yan na yung about sa foundation. Okay, so there would be 19 trustees who appoints the ISB's member, and also related doon sa Standard Council, Standard Advisory Council. Okay, also the IFRIC, no, the International Financial Reporting Interpretations Committee. Okay, so yan yung structure ng IASB. So, hala, layo ko na. Okay, so let's now proceed with the IASC's foundation. Okay, or right now, we know it as IFRS Foundation. Okay, so kanina, di ba, we have 19 trustees in the structure, but currently, okay, adopting the IASC's foundation in January 1, 2005, there are already 22 trustees. Okay, from 19, there are already 22 trustees, and these trustees are normally appointed in the terms of 3 years. So, ano yung 5 years kanina? The 5 years is appointment to the IASB with 1 year renew or one-time renewal. Dito rin po, there is also a renewal, no, at once. So, in total, if the trustee was being appointed and being renewed, so it has a total of 6 years, no, in the foundation. So the trustees appoints, no, ito yung work niya, the trustees appoints the IASB, na-mention ko na to kanina, the Standing Interpretations Committee, and also the Standards Advisory Council. This foundation, okay, IESC was changed in the year, the new name was being approved, okay, in January 2010 of the IASC Foundation, no, that's a former name, and it took effect on July 1, 2020. So napakadaming year. So ulitin natin ha. Saan na ba yung ano ko? So um the ano kanina, 'di ba, 19 yung original trustees, naging 22, and that is on the year July 1, 2005. Okay? Yung name na IFRS Foundation was the renewed name of IESC's Foundation, which took effect on July 1, 2010. Pero naaprubahan yung pangalan na yon January 2010. Okay? So clear tayo doon, ha? Yung mga pagpapalit kasi nila ng pangalan importante as well. Baka mamaya during examination, it would confuse us as well, no? Sana wala namang ganun. Pero we don't know. So this foundation, okay, has the following objectives, no? Its objectives: number one, to develop, okay, in the public interest, a single set of high quality, understandable accounting standards. Okay, actually ito yung parang yung goal din kanina or objective ng IASB. Okay, it requires high quality, transparent, and comparable information in our financial statement. Another objective of the IFRS Foundation is to promote the use and rigorous applications of those standards. So, eventually, mamaya mababanggit ko yung website, and most of what we are discussing in intermediate accounting, okay, lies on the accounting standards that were being founded by this standard setting bodies. Okay? So, in fulfilling these objectives associated with A and B, okay, so to take account of as appropriate the needs and sizes and types of entities in diverse economic setting. So as mentioned to you also a while ago, no, isang accounting standards for diverse and various entities. Okay, also to promote and facilitate adoption of IFRS standards, being the standard and interpretations issued by the board through convergence of national accounting standards and IFRS standards. Okay, so that's the IFRS Foundation. So any questions? By the way, if you do have any questions, just key in your questions to our chat box. No, eventually I could not be able to explain more the words that it was indicated in the documents of the IFRS Foundation. No, I can just comment on it and describe some, but again, this is the actual wordings, and I don't want to change it, no, from what it was being indicated in their documents. Okay? So kanina, no, again, we have started with IASC, then naging ISB na in line with the IESC Foundation, which now transformed to IFRS Foundation. Now let's talk about naman yung katuwang din ng IASB in interpreting naman the accounting standards. So we have the IFRS Interpretations Committee, or it is known before as IFRS, ano, International Financial Reporting Interpretations Committee, or IFRIC, no? IFRIC dati. Pero ngayon, IFRS Interpretation Committee. So parang if are sick, okay? So it is being comprised of 14 voting members. So 14 po ang under ng Interpretations Committee, which is also again appointed by the trustees, and renewable terms of 3 years. Wala naman po nabanggit kung ilang renew, di ba? But basta it will be renewed every 3 years. Now, the Interpretations Committee shall meet, and when required, okay, 10 voting members, okay, from the 14 present in person or via telecommunication to constitute quorum. Okay? So if it is 10 over 14, ilang percentage po 'yon? So 10 divided by 14, we have 0.71%, no? Or sorry, 0.71 or 71% will be the majority or quorum, no, on an interpretations committee meeting. Okay, and one or two board members shall designate by the board, okay, and shall attend the meeting as a non-voting observer. So nag-a-appoint din yung board, yung IASB, no, ng non-voting observers, and the other members may attend and speak on the meeting. So again, observers lang yung ina-appoint ng board, but technically the trustees are the major one who appoints it. Okay, then approval of drafts and final interpretation, kasi just like accounting standards, no, the interpretation should also be for comments. Okay, shall not require more than 4 voting members vote against the draft or final interpretations. So 4 voting members vote lang po yung shall require, that not more than 4 voting members against. So not against, okay? So not against. So ibig sabihin kung 14 sila, okay, minus 2 na non-voting, so 12 minus 4. So dapat at least we have 8 members who will vote in favor of that interpretation, whether draft or final, okay, before it could be approved. Okay, so take note of that. Also, as part of this IFRS Interpretations Committee, okay, they shall interpret the application of the IFRS standard, kasi yung IFRS standard natin, okay, is usually general. Okay, there are some confusing words on which either the board or the IFRS Interpretations Committee will stand for its discussion or final interpretation. Okay, which sabi nga dito, it shall not, okay, specifically address the standard, but in the context of the board's framework and undertake other tasks at requests of the board. Okay, it should carry out the work under letter A, have regard to the board's objective of working actively with the national standard setters to bring convergence with the national accounting standards and with high quality solution. To publish after clearance, to the board, the draft. Okay, they publish the draft as well for public comment. Okay, also to report to the board and obtain the approval of 8 members. Okay, kanina di ba nabanggit na natin na 8 members yung mag-a-approve na at a minimum nung ating final interpretations if 13 members or fewer, or 9, okay, of the members if there would be 14 members. So if 14 members, so most likely parang meron pa ring rule dito, no, under the IFRSC or interpretations committees voting, no? Kanina we have 8 only, but dito when 13 or fewer members are present, dapat at least 8 yung boboto, and then kapag 14 members are present, then at least 9. Take note of that. Okay, so that's the IFRS Interpretation Committee. Now, let's proceed sa isa pang katuwang ng IASB, which is the in IFRS, okay, Advisory Council, or the Advisory Council, which is formerly known as the Standards Advisory Council. So yung structure kanina na presented sa inyo, that's actually the old structure kasi yung mga titles na ginamit are actually Standards Advisory Council pa, IFRIC pa, 'di ba? So right now it's Advisory Council, and it has the members na appointed by the trustees as well. So halos lahat trustee yung nag-a-appoint. Okay? Then the primary objective of this advisory council is to give advice to the board regarding the agenda decision and the priority of the word of the board, informing the board of the views of organizations and individuals on the advisory council on major standard setting projects, and giving other advice to the board or even to the trustees. Okay, so this advisory council, okay, kanina ano nga ilan ulit 'yon sa IFRS Foundation, we have 22 members. Okay, in the Interpretations Committee, we have 14 members. And then sa IASB, okay, ilan po yung members natin? We have at least 14 members then. Dito sa Advisory Council, okay, it shall be comprised of 30 or more members, no? Having diversity of geographical and professional backgrounds, appointed for renewal terms of 3 years. Okay, so bakit super dami po nila? Because they will be advising the board. So parang doon ka rin kukuha ng mga ideas, 'di ba? Sabi nga kanina, on which the board will come up with the agenda. And the advisory council shall meet at least 2 times a year. Okay, and the meeting shall be open to the public, of course, for consultation. Okay? So right now, no, kanina binabanggit natin that there is a process in making the accounting standard by this standard setting bodies. So now let's talk about the due process for financial reporting. So indicated in the IFRS, okay, or IASB's IFRS Committee's Due Process Handbook of 2020. Okay, so ito po 'yon. I will give you a copy of it, pero I tell you, no need for you to read everything on that since hindi naman natin in detail na i-exam yon. Okay, kare-release lang din ito in August 2020 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so indicated there are the formal process that this board, no, the IASB and the Interpretations Committee, okay, will do. Okay, so they will actually specify the minimum steps to be taken and to ensure the activities have benefited from thorough and effective consultation process. Okay, so technically, again, they need to ensure that all of the processes that they will undertake, okay, will be effective, no, and benefiting, no, throughout the process. And also, they need to identify mandatory steps, okay, to consider the comply or explain approach, okay, meaning that non-mandatory steps in the process will still be recommended and non-compliance with them would require an explanation. Okay, so mamaya meron tayong stages on the next slide. Okay, so they need to identify as well non-mandatory steps. Okay, and it needs comply or explain explanation. Also, as part of the due process, they need to identify other optional or steps available to them to help improve the quality of IFRS. Okay? So, yan po yung formal due process ng IASB at saka ng Interpretations Committee in accordance with their recently published due process handbook. Okay? Then, it includes the following stages. Okay, so pag binasa mo yon, ito ay gist lang nung mga stages, no, pero under the stages in the handbook, super dami pang discussion, and I don't want to have an overflow of information, no. That's why I'll just give you a copy, but not necessarily that we will use that in examination. Okay, so they actually, the IFRS Interpretation Committee and the International Accounting Standard Board will set the agenda. So kanina in their objectives, nababanggit na natin yung about sa agenda. Okay, then after they set the agenda, they are now going to plan the project. Okay, they plan now to research, and develop and publish discussion papers about what they have researched. Okay, then afterwards, they will be developing and publishing exposure drafts. So pag sinabi po natin exposure draft, this is not yet a final standard, but this is somehow already looking like a standard, but it needs comments pa, diba, coming from the other parties involved, okay, to make sure that the final um, standard, okay, being revised with their comments and consideration of the comments. But take note guys, not all of the comments will be incorporated. Sometimes, sasagutin din ng board yan or IFRS interpretation committee that it will not be included in the final standard, if you are reading, actually ako po nagbabasa ako ng mga history bago ina-approve yung accounting standard. They have yung tinatawag na project summary. So sa project summary, makikita nyo doon na meron pong consultation, ito yung comments, tapos ito rin po yung ito ba ay sinama or hindi doon sa final version ng standard. Okay? So nakikita nyo sa project summary. Okay? So ayun nga, the next stage is to publish the standard itself. Okay, and lastly, after it was being published, there should be post-implementation review, okay, to be made by the board, okay, so that baka mamaya yung applicability, after so many years hindi na applicable, o kaya naman there is an additional information that would arise, then they need an amendment, then dun po, babalik ulit siya sa setting body or setting the agenda and then project, and then it will continue. Okay, so those were the stages. Then right now, let's talk about na po sa Philippines. Kanina we have talked more on the standard setting bodies internationally. We have the IASB, the IFRS Foundation, the Interpretations Committee, and the Advisory Council. So in the Philippines, it had started with the Accounting Standards Council or IESC. So originally, in the Philippines, the Accounting Standards Council was being created by PICPA in November 18, 1981. Okay, take note of the date. PICPA have created it, okay, the Accounting Standard Council. Actually, itong ASC na to, naririnig nyo na from the start of your accounting journey pa kasi they are the one who defined accounting as a service activity, di ba? Its function is to provide quantitative information, primarily financial in nature, that is intended to be useful in making economic decisions. So sila po yung nag-define nun. Now, okay, prior to 2001, after the creation of the IESC, the Philippines uses yung FASB, okay, standards na nasa US. Kaya some of our books, or even some of our materials are stating the former one na we have used yung mga US GAAP. Okay, because prior to 2001, we have used the FASBs or Financial Accounting Standard Board of United States of America, yung mga standards na na-publish po nila. Okay? Then, the ASC, okay, before, was being composed of 8 members. So, 8 po yung members niya. Okay? 4 of which will come from PICPA. Okay? So, bakit po 4 doon? Kasi there are 4 pillars of PICPA. There is an education, there is public practice, there is private practice, and also we have government. So, tigi-isa po nun, okay, yung kinukuha sa PICPA, on which sabi nga dito, including the designated members. So, any of those 4 various pillars na representative, okay, doon po manggagaling yung chairman of ASC. And then in addition, from the 4 from PICPA, we have 1 coming from SEC, so Securities and Exchange Commission, 1 as well from Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or before ang tawag pa is Central Bank. 1 as well coming from the PRC, or specifically the BOA, the Board of Accountancy. And then also 1 is coming from the FINEX, or the financial executives of the Philippines. Okay, so that's the members of the Accounting Standards Council. So in 1997, so 1997, no, the Accounting Standards Council decided to move totally, okay, to international accounting standards. But take note, no, sabi dito prior to 2001. Bakit kaya prior to 2001, ito 1997? Kasi, okay, the Philippines have transitioned from the use of the Financial Accounting Standards Board's standards or generally accepted accounting principle to IAS, 'di ba? Ano nga ulit yung organization na nag-produce ng IAS? It was the International Accounting Standards Committee. Okay? And it becomes effective 2001. Okay? So from the creation of ASC, okay, up to year 2000, no, kung ano-anong gaap yung pinanggagalingan, no, there is no standard na kumbaga international accounting standard na ginagamit natin, but we just use the US. No, but right now in 2001 until this time, now we are using already IAS and also of course after IAS the IFRS. Okay? So the Accounting Standards Council, no, have considered the following factors why they have moved from the use of GAAPs or US GAAPs to the International Accounting Standards. So of course, to support the International Accounting Standards by the Philippine organizations, okay, increasing the internationalization kasi nga ho, most of the countries around the world are using already the IAS since 'di ba the World Bank, the IOSCO, the Economic Development have already kumbaga encouraging them to use those international accounting standards, of course, for the improvement of the IAS and increasing recognition of the IASB's standard. Okay? So also the ASC approved no the reissuance as PAS. So parang nangyayari sa Philippines guys, ina-adapt natin yung IAS, yung I ginagawang P, no? So the International Accounting Standard, once adopted here in the Philippines, it now becomes no Philippine Accounting Standards or PAS, no, which was previously no na ina-adapt na SFAS. So no mga panahon pa ng nanay at tatay natin, no, way back 90s, it was SFAS, okay, or SFASes or IAS, okay. So right now, which is the basis of IAS, okay. So ngayon po, don't worry, no, ang tawag na natin ay PAS. Okay, wala na pong SFAS. So pag may nakita pa kayong SFAS number ganito, okay, wala na po 'yon ha. Outdated na po 'yon. Yung PAS mga still outstanding or being used pa na mga international accounting standard. Okay? And also the standard reissued um, the Standard Council or the Accounting Standard Council or ASC no reissued the standards for the following reasons no to update this consequential amendment arising from the adaptation of the new international financial reporting standards. So we are using right now IFRS already, which pag translate natin yan sa Philippines, yan na po yung tinatawag natin na PFRS. Okay? So kung mapapansin nyo, PFRS and IAS at saka ano ba, PFRS and IFRS are the same actually kung mapapansin niyo yung full version, and also the IAS and the PAS are almost the same. Inadapt lang talaga natin in the Philippine settings. Okay? So also to maintain consistency of format and designation with the standard issued by Accounting Standards Council. Okay? So the PAS corresponds to paulit-ulit ako no. The PAS arises from the International Accounting Standards and the PFRS arises from the IFRS. So in the year 2004 no, the Securities and Exchange Commission natin have issued circular number 19, okay, which here in the Philippines we need to adopt the use of IAS, the PAS, and IFRS in the audited financial statement. So see, no, even though the International Accounting Standard Board does not enforce us to use it here in the Philippines, the Securities and Exchange Commissions here in the Philippines, of course, in coordination with, nabanggit natin kanina, IOSCO, International Organization of Securities and Exchange Commissions, no, um, have tried to really require us to adopt, take note of the word in the memorandum, require us to adopt those standards in our audited financial statements. Okay, so lahat ngayon here in the Philippines, especially, no, kahit nga po yung mga small or medium enterprises, they have already the IFRS, no, on those set of companies. And then from ASC, no, it now transformed to become FRSC. So when there is already a Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 or RA number 9298, okay, our accountancy law, okay, section 9, it states now that that ASC, no, is now becoming Philippine or the Financial Reporting Standard Council or the FRSC, which is now the new accounting standard setting bodies here in the Philippines. So from ASC, no, naging FRSC na po siya in the year 2004 because of the Accountancy Act. Then it is comprised now of 15 members. So 15 members po, no, including the chairman. So merong 14 members pag sa examination, no, baka maduling kayo, no. 15 members including chairman or 14 other members plus the chairman. So ano rin 'yun? Kumbaga it's still 15, 'di ba? Okay? So the FRSC's due process, kanina we have the international due process. Ngayon naman in the FRSC's due process, okay, in developing accounting standards, so it has the following, no? So number one, consider the pronouncement of IASB. So kung ano yung international standard, so yun yung i-consider natin. Then formation of task force. So this task force is actually entailing to review the pronouncement of the International Accounting Standard Board. Then issuance as well of exposure draft being approved by the majority vote of the FRSC. Okay, so sir, bakit pa may exposure draft? Of course, this is for review. Almost the same din siya with the content of the International Accounting Standards or IFRS. Okay, and also we considered comments from that exposure draft. So ang sabi dito, the commenting period should be at least 60 days. But it may be shortened, no? Okay, not less than 30 days. So, supposed to be lumalabas 30 days up to 60 days. Okay, yung typical na commenting period natin. But at least 60 days, so most likely, pwede rin siyang mag-exceed sa 60 days. But let's take it in that word na at least 60 days and not less than 30 days. Okay? Then, that standard after consideration of the comments, no, should be approved by the majority of the FRSC's member. By the way, balikan ko lang yung commenting, no. Baka kasi yung particular item or paragraph sa standard hindi applicable for Philippine setting, then they may delete, no. Pwedeng i-delete kasi pero not necessarily to fully revise, no. Minsan may mga certain words lang na pinapalitan if they are adopting it here in the Philippines. Okay, and then after that, once approved, it will be published, okay, in an official gazette, okay, and the newspaper of general circulation. Okay, so that's the stages and steps of the due process of FRSC. And lastly, no, kagaya rin po ng IASB na may katulong po in interpreting the accounting standards. So here in the Philippines, no, meron din pong create na interpretations committee, and it is known as the Philippine Interpretations Committee, okay, which was formed by the FRSC in August 2006. Take note guys, the FRSC was being established in 2004, so it was only in August 2006 na nagkaroon ng Interpretations Committee. And this interpretations committee, okay, actually um, helps to issue the implementation guidelines of the accounting standards, no? Whether ito ba ay PAS or PFRS or other collective PFRS, and adopted by the FRSC, okay, from the pronouncement of the ISB. Okay, also, this interpretation committee will to comment from the exposure draft, di ba? Kanina in the due process of FRSC, we have exposure draft, so magko-comment siya doon. Okay, and some other documents that may issued for comments by the FRSC. Then after that, no, magko-comment din po doon sa exposure draft of the proposed accounting standards, okay, and proposed regulation issued by government agencies, if any. Okay, kasi minsan mayroong mga government regulations specific only to the Philippines that may have certain effects such as coming from the Securities and Exchange Commissions, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or even insurance commissions, then okay, they are also the one to comment it, no, yung sa interpretations committee natin. Okay? So with that, that's it for the history. Okay, so just a quick recap for international international setting bodies. We have started with IASC, okay, the International Accounting Standards Committee. Okay. Then naging IASB siya. Okay, at katuwang ng ISB and appointing it is yung IFRS Foundation na dati ang pangalan ng IFRS Foundation is ano nga ulit? We have the IASC Foundation. Okay, so also we have the IFRIC, dati IFRIC, ngayon IFRS Interpretations Committee. Pangit ng sulat ko guys, no? Okay. Interpretations Committee, and also we have the Advisory Council. Okay, Advisory Council. Okay, and currently IASB is the standard board natin. Okay, yan pa rin yung pangalan. Sa Philippines, it have started with ASC or the Accounting Standard Council na in the year 2004 after the establishing or the publish of the Accountancy Act of 2004 or Republic Act 9298 naging FRSC, at si FRSC naman katuwang niya si Philippine Interpretations Committee. Okay, so that's it for the history of the accounting standards and also the reason why we need to use an international and global accounting standard for consistency purposes in financial reporting. Okay, so with that, thank you very much, and I will see you all on our next video's discussion. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to key in your questions on our respective chat boxes. Okay, with that, again, thank you very much for listening and have a great day. Okay, bye-bye. Kamsahamnida.